here with end of the year reaction. Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Stephen, thank you so much on this busy night for being here. Tim Walz, you might have seen this, went after President Trump today for daring to highlight the massive fraud happening in his state. Watch this.
I think this idea that the Somali community is to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, you know, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on. But he made it white hot and very dangerous.
Stephen, it's the president's fault that the Somalis stole $1 billion in counting. Yeah, so it's obviously on your heads.
Well, he's right about one thing. It's not brand new. The Somali community has been engaged in massive, endemic, systematic fraud against the American taxpayer for years. What we're going to discover ultimately, and we are in the throes right now of a full-throated, all-hands-on-deck federal investigation, is that the scope, scale, size, and sheer magnitude of the fraud eclipses anybody's worst nightmare. Look, according to official government records, 90% of Somali households with children are on federal welfare. The real number is probably 100% because federal records always undercount. So you're talking about a population that has been imported into Minnesota in which virtually every single member of that population is receiving welfare from the federal government. This could very well end up, Laura, being the greatest financial fraud scandal in American history.
And, Stephen, isn't it the case that this is a window into the corruption of so many NGOs that take federal money to resettle refugees, to give advice to refugees, consult with refugees, prepare the way for refugees? And this is happening across the country with a variety of NGOs, including here in Minnesota. But this could just be the tip of the iceberg, could it not?
Yes, well, you're exactly right. President Trump has blown the lid off of the refugee industrial complex. And the way this works is exactly the way that you said. The U.S. government historically, and this, of course, got taken to the highest degree ever under Biden, hands out billions, with a B, billions of dollars in grants to these third-party groups, non-governmental organizations, to work with the Department of State to find the poorest populations from the most dysfunctional places in the world and then bring them into small-town America. They typically look for areas in rural communities, rural places, or more traditional Midwestern towns that they can completely transform. So they send them to small towns in Ohio, to small towns in Maine, and of course we've seen their central project has been in Minneapolis and St. Paul in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And so these nonprofits get massively rich. They rake in a fortune. They become some of the wealthiest nonprofits the world has ever seen. And their job is to fly the refugees here, to help them become citizens, and to ensure that they are enrolled in every welfare benefit program imaginable.
The gravy train.
All of it at the expense of the American people. Exactly. It is heinous, it is shameful, and I'm proud of the fact, which we don't say enough, President Trump has stopped all refugee resettlement into the country. The only refugee resettlement that is happening are the Afrikaners being persecuted in South Africa.
I want to move on to what's happening with this lawsuit. All these states have lined up, joining this growing list of states, California the biggest, to sue the Trump administration over its H-1B reform, which would require $100,000 for applications for the H-1B foreign worker visa. Now, 19 states' attorneys general are suing. The administration has seen this before. Obviously, the Chamber of Commerce wants the cheap labor coming in, so they're part of this. What's your response to this, and do you expect to be successful on appeal? Or in the litigation?
Well, absolutely,
and then on
because
appeal?
because the statute 212F of the INA, which President Trump posted recently online is so explicit that the president has the authority not only to suspend or restrict any immigration he deems necessary, but to impose any restrictions on the entry of aliens as he deems appropriate. It is the broadest grant of authority probably in the U.S. Code. And that grant of authority is entirely to the president when it comes to imposing restrictions on foreigners. Now, if you look at this policy the president implemented, and we haven't talked about it enough, this is the first time in American history that a president has taken action to stop companies from using low-wage labor to replace Americans. So the entire cost model, then they call them body shops, where they basically, there's a group of Americans that are working in the middle of their career in IT jobs. These body shops come in, they meet with the CEO, they fire all the Americans, they make them train their replacements, and they hire labor at half the cost. That whole model, that whole financial model is blown up by this fee. That's why it's so important, Laura.
Stephen, you've done so much work this year, and it's been a long road to get there. Keep it up, and Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.